Blog Talk Radio.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Hollywood, Florida, with your host and hostess, Mark Angelo and Jessica Lynn Cummings. Show for trans folks by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio. We've had the chat going on. I'd like to thank everyone that's joined us for chat. And we do this every show, try to get everybody involved. Today we have two great guests, Kim and Kris Schroeder. But before we bring them on, we want to thank our sponsor,
TheBreastFormStore.com. They have everything you could possibly need for your transgender or cross-dressing needs. Visit their website and tell them Transition Radio sent you. We are giving away a pair of gold steel breast forms, compliments of TheBreastFormStore.com.
Send us an essay or short video, not to exceed 4 minutes, telling us why you should be the winner of these girls, and you can send that to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. That's transitionradioshow@gmail.com. You have been receiving your essays. We'll have a winner for you shortly. Today on our show, we have Kim and Kris Schroeder, the couple behind Trans Confused Family Blog. Kim was a husband, but now a wife. By her own admission, she's ridiculously fortunate to have such a loving and dedicated wife, Kris Schroeder, who is also joining us today. Kim will not have transition without her Kris's agreement. Transition for Kim has meant a complete reboot of her adolescent to adult process.
The process is far from over, but she can say she's at least reached emotional young adulthood. Trans Confused Family started under a different name shortly after Kim confessed to her wife, Kris, that she had a strong desire to cross-dress. This was not at all something new, she says. I had cross-dressed alone for most of my life. The only thing that changed was denial. Denial helps suppress the person I am and quite successfully hide that person even from me.
Finding assistance and support proved to be less of a problem than I expected, she quotes. However, almost no support was available for Kris. Kris has a son who was born a boy, but confessed one afternoon, long before Kim did, he liked to be a girl. He is currently gender questioning and presents as male.
And they are here with us to share their story today. So let's welcome to our show, Kim and Kris Schroeder.
Hey, you guys there?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been looking forward to your interview.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
How's it going tonight?
We're doing okay.
That's good.
Okay.
So, are you excited? Let's hear a little more excitement. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes,
we're not sure you can hear us.
What? You broke up a little bit.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can now.
Okay.
Now you're feeling good.
Well, we put up some questions for you, and we have a chat going, and we also have the lines going, so if anybody wants to call in and ask Kris and Kim questions, the number is 716-6895.
And, Kris, I have a question for you. How have you handled all this? Your son and husband both having gender identity issues. It must have been very challenging, to say the least.
It was very challenging, to say the least. And it took time. It wasn't something, this isn't the type of thing where you just all of a sudden one day hear about it and just go, oh, okay, this is cool with me. You know, it was a huge change in my life both times, and it took time. It took me a lot of time to get my head wrapped around the idea that the guys in my life didn't want to be guys and they wanted to be girls, and the fact that my husband was going to be my wife. So both times it took me a long time to process everything on it.
Right.
And what did you do to actually help you cope with it? I mean, how did you handle it? I'm sure there are other trans couple out there that are having to deal with this. So how did you cope?
Part of what I did, I talked to a few people. At the very beginning, I wasn't comfortable talking to people. So there were a couple people that knew about it that I talked to frequently. And I did start blogging pretty much right away because I didn't know of any other transgender people. I did start meeting some online, and the reason I started doing my own blog was when I was looking for transgender blogs, I was finding blogs by other transgender people. And what I really needed at that time was to find spouses and significant others and family members.
Yeah, people that were going through the same thing you were going through instead of the opposite side, right?
Right. Right.
I'm sure it gave you the incentive to start something now to help others that are going through the same thing that you went through.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think there's a lot of resources for people who are transgender, and but not enough for family members, and that's why we've started trying to speak out.
A lot of times our priorities are quite a bit different, and they are reflected in the things that we write about, our concerns and our needs. And I really felt that Kris was not being represented very well. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was in the throes of trying to figure out exactly what I was, let alone who I was. And so I really was not a heck of a lot of help at that time. She was still being the main support for me. So, yeah, I kind of fell for it, and I tried my best, but I really couldn't do very much. We had some friends, some gay friends, and not surprisingly, but to all of us, but to a lot of people who aren't aware of this, our gay friends really don't have as many coping skills as a lot of people might think. There are quite a few differences. And so it was, again, who do we talk to? Mm-hmm.
Right. And Kim, how hard was it for you to come out to Kris?
Oh, I think it took about a year and a half. I mean, you do know that I was an evangelical Christian. And so a big part of my becoming an evangelical Christian was to try to, it was to, because I had so much guilt throughout my life. And, and every time I thought that this thing was gone, it would come back up. And I finally believed that this was kind of over, and maybe I had thoughts every once in a while. But eventually I just had to admit that after a good, quite literally 40 years of counseling, I think it was time to throw in the towel, so to speak, and admit that, this is the way I am. However, it took quite a few months after that to get up the nerve to talk to Kris. I was in counseling, of course, and when I told my counselor that I was starting to explore this, I was talking with people, getting into chat rooms, items like that, the first thing she asked was, what does your wife know? Does Kris know this? And I kind of hemmed and hawed and said no. one of my best friends, and still probably my best friend to this day, is named Mary, and she was my dance partner when I was doing ballet. And I told her one day, I said, Mary, I'm cross-dressing. What do you think? And she said, wow, that's great. Yeah, whatever. And then finally said, does Kris know about this? And I had to confess, no, Kris did not know about this. And Mary told me point blank that I'm really not going to discuss this with you until you talk with Kris. I think that's appropriate. And Mary really was one of the greatest supports in my life at that time, just for getting my head together that, we had this incredible relationship, Kris and I could not hide something like this from her. And so eventually I did, and I don't know, what you just thought it was the most wonderful thing in the world at the time. I mean, you just said, wow, this is great. Let's just, let's all go to drag clubs and let's explore. Maybe I'll become a trans man. Oh, stop.
Yeah, we don't realize as trans individuals how difficult it is for those we love to deal with our transition. I mean, we think, okay, we got it all straight in our head. Here we are. Voila. Hey, guys, I'm transitioning. And it's hard. It's a difficult thing. So to find a supportive, significant other or wife to be there for you is amazing. Ken, when you start your transition, what was the role that Kris played in this process?
Well, at first, I asked her permission, and as is noted in the bio, I was not going to do this unless I had her permission. At first, I had never publicly cross-dressed, and I asked her permission to do that. The moment I did that one evening, I realized that there was something, I really was not a cross-dresser, that I was really female. And I refused to present as female for another month and a half after that. I gave Kris as much time as she needed to come to terms with this. I'm not sure. I hope I'm answering the question.
Yes, definitely. So when you started cross-dressing, how soon after you started cross-dressing did you start transitioning?
Let's see. Well, Kris, maybe you can better answer that, really.
Right. Let's see. I would say 6 months after she told me that she wanted to cross-dress, 6 months later she said, she wants to be a woman. She had told me she wanted to be a woman full-time, but she wanted to start going out full-time as a woman. So that was just 6 months into it, and then 6 months after that, she was on hormones.
I was extremely fortunate, but also rushing this. I mean, this was relatively quick. I think most people might agree. And I am 54, so I figured, well, I better use it before I lose it, so to speak. But it was incredibly rough. I was not exactly the nicest person to be around a lot of the time. I'm glad it's over to the point where I'm kind of okay now, but I have to admit I was not exactly easy all the time. Would you agree with that, Kris?
And this is also one thing in a marriage that usually in a marriage, we start going through things together, because whether there's something to celebrate, something to grieve, everybody in the family is kind of on the same page with something. In this, especially when it's a shock and something new, everybody can be in a totally different place. So Kim was, wow, I can finally be who I am and excited and happy, and I went into a deep depression for a while. So it takes time to get to that middle ground.
You're going through grieving, right? It's understandable. While Kim was being born again, you were grieving a loss. And that leads to the next question.
So my question that I have for you, Kris. What do you miss the most about the other side of Kim that you fell in love with? Or has there been any loss?
Oh, boy.
The beard. My husband had a really cool beard, and a lot of the actors on TV can't come close to it. It was just a really good, that trim beard that you can rub. I just loved it. And I was very sad to see that go.
There are times I have to admit, it looks pretty good.
No chance of ever letting that beard grow back again, Kim. Just for a little while. Just playing.
Definitely.
It's pretty much gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
I like my beard.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kissing a Brillo pad.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny how male to females want to get rid of certain things and enhance certain things, and then female to male want to add a beard in their face and get rid of their breasts, and it's an amazing thing to see how different individuals require different needs. Kim, do you feel any different about Kris now that you are a woman?
Actually, I do. How do I put this? I mean, I always cared for Kris. I always wanted to do what was right, to make her happy. I would like to think that my holding off on cross-dressing sometimes kind of evidenced that. But what I've discovered, after I started cross-dressing, that changed somewhat. When I started HRT, it's like it was no longer a should I or shouldn't I. Everything just kind of came naturally. We are in a very positive, very strong relationship, and my feelings towards her as a woman became so much more full. I love her more than I ever, and I loved her with everything I had, but it feels like now everything I have is together and correct, and so I could love her with all of that. And my goodness, I love you so much.
I love you too.
That's so great. I want to ask you the same question, Kris. Do you feel any different about Kim now that she's a woman?
In some ways it's a hard question to answer, I guess I would say I do feel differently. I think I know we have a better relationship now. And I think a lot of that is Kim is the person she was supposed to be. What I noticed when everything was changing, when I got to know Kim, was it was a person who was more comfortable with who they are. So the person inside is really the same person, but just somebody who's more comfortable and who, I haven't experienced this, but I suppose that not being who you really feel you are for your whole life has to be huge. I've always had a philosophy of be true to yourself and be who you are, and this is just a bigger change than I ever expected. But I do know that Kim is the person is more. I kind of look for the right word, but is more happy with who they are, and it's not just happy; it's just well-rounded, just a person who's more comfortable with everything.
I think what Kris is really trying to say is that I'm now a Democrat and not a Republican. You have to admit, I mean, you could really kiss being a Republican goodbye. If you have any thoughts of it, forget it. But anyways, Kris told me almost immediately. She said, you're smiling so much more, and I didn't realize it until it actually happened.
That's true.
Yeah. My humor's the same, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Always joking around.
The way I look at it, Kim has been a gift to you, Kris, to teach you or help you understand what unconditional love is all about. People sometimes aren't challenged enough in a relationship to really prove their love to the other. And I believe that this is a situation that really allowed you to realize how much you love each other and how unconditional it actually is.
and I think it's great. Which
I think that's true. Yeah. And it's easy when there's a big change in a marriage to just want to run away. And I did want to run away and hide my head in the sand and not deal with all of this. But dealing with the change and getting to know the other person, it does make a relationship much stronger. And that's the important part.
But I just, if I may throw something in here, the quip I had about, suggesting that maybe Kris would become trans man, later, obviously it was a joke, but the honest truth is, if that's what she wanted, I would be here. If that sort of thing is, it's not the important part of our relationship, I guess. Kris, the person, is the important part of my relationship with her, and the same is true the other way.
Yes, that would definitely be interesting. That would happen. I mean, that would most definitely. And I think it would be amazing.
We could find an example of that. I don't know. Is it possible?
Well, Mark and I, we have discussed that, and it was like, well, what if we had it met the other way around? And when I was a guy and he was a female, and we got together, will we still have transition? I say yes. He said yes. We don't know, but it would be definitely an interesting situation for sure.
We're very much in love with both our sides. I'm very much in love with Jessica's female and male side and vice versa, and it's actually helped us become more in tune with who we are and balance our energies, or the masculine and the feminine side.
Exactly. And it works out so well. I have a question for you, Kris. What advice would you have for those who are going through this similar situation?
My advice would be to have patience, to have, show love and understanding for really everybody involved, because it is something that takes time. We are conditioned to, part of it is conditioning, there's pink and blue rules, and then part of it is, I fell in love with a man, and that image is part of the whole person I fell in love with. So it takes time to go through those changes and to get to the real person, the core of who I love. So it's patience. People need to be patient and to take the time and not just completely run away when they want to. And love and understanding needs to be on both sides, and that's the only way that things are going to work.
The rest of the family too. Everybody involved. We gave Kris's family some patience, and I am German, quasi-Jewish, I guess, but officially I'm about to consider myself full-blooded Italian. Kris's family has accepted me fully and completely. A lot of that has to do with contact and the patience and not trying to ram it, down their throat or anything. I'm hoping the same will be true with my family, and I have faith. It's going to happen. But not everybody will be accepting.
It takes time. They all eventually do come around. It's a grieving process for them, but once they see the joy in you and they see the happiness in both of you, they will eventually give in and understand. I wanted to ask you a question, Kim. A lot of transgender individuals sometimes just are too quick to rush into transition, and they really don't understand the whole meaning behind things. I want to ask you, what does it mean to be a woman to you?
What is it to be a woman? I tried answering this before, to Kris when we went over a question that was very similar to that. Yes, what does it mean? I can tell you the emotional part of it is one day I woke up about maybe 4 months ago, and I was already on HRT, obviously, and I thought to myself, do I really want to transition? Because I feel so good. I feel so right. as I am right now. However, it dawned on me that I looked down and there were physical changes. I was getting dressed, the clothes I was choosing, who I was seeing, the name I had. I had transitions, so it feels right in that sense. To be a woman and to respond and to enter society as a woman now is it's like I feel so comfortable. I don't relate very well to men. I never did. But now I find myself able to women relate to me a little bit easier, and in different ways. And I mean, we talk about everything from boyfriends and husbands to just buying things at the store, joking about things that were just not there before. And for me, it was almost not a learning process. It was just kind of, I just fit into it. It was just there, but that's my part of it. I do become aware of women's issues. I got manhandled one day, and I didn't know what it was. Some man came by and pushed me out of the way, and I had no idea. And it's like, how could somebody do something like that? And, well, yeah, that sort of thing does happen. And so now I'm playing for the other side with a vengeance, so to speak. And so I'm very aware of women's issues. But also I'm cautious. I don't like to be a bull in the china shop, so to speak, and kind of force my way all over and saying, well, here I am, the ultimate feminist. I've got a lot to learn, and I am finally starting to realize that I have a lot to learn, and I should just be quiet and be mentored for a while.
Let's take away the hormones, the dresses, the makeup, and all the roles that women play. What does it actually mean to be a woman to you? In other words,
I'm not quite sure I understand. I can give you my joking answer right off the bat that I'm still looking at going to get let's say 38 C's. If you'll forget the joke about that.
Right. Being a woman
I'm with you, girl.
Being a woman has absolutely nothing to do with breasts and makeup, and I mean those are things that society has dictated that women should do. I think I'm getting more at the spiritual, the energy essence of what it feels to be feminine, what it feels to be in that feminine energy versus being in that masculine energy. I think society in general has really put people into boxes and say little girls are supposed to do this, little boys are supposed to do that, little girls are supposed to wear this, women are supposed to look like this, men are supposed to look like that. Let's take away all societal expectations and roles. In this process, what does it mean inside of you, the feeling that you feel as Kim versus that feeling you felt when, what was your male name again, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, all of my, if I understand the question correctly, but what is different? Or
yes, for your name.
Oh, my name. Oh, what? Oh, my name, my masculine name. Oh, it was Kurt.
Okay. What was the difference of feeling as Kurt as it feels to be Kim? We're going to be off live in 90 seconds. The show will continue because it will be recorded and will be on demand. Everyone will be able to listen to the entirety of the remaining of the show. Just putting out that little warning. So go right ahead, Kim.
Okay. Oddly enough, the people that know me actually respond to me the same. It's very strange. I look exceptionally different. I mean, very different. But the way people, it's like my friend Mary told me that I hit on her once, and I like a long time ago, when we were dancing, we were young, and she said that her immediate response was she wasn't a lesbian, so she didn't like it, and I guess in a lot of ways I have not changed. But in other ways, I cannot help that strangers respond to Kim differently than they do Kurt. Especially women. There's a more warmth, kindred, family part of it. Men, well, some of them get get a little friendly in ways I wish they wouldn't, but or I should say they get friendly in ways that I'm glad they do, but want to tell them they shouldn't. Probably the best way I could describe it. But I'm not so sure I've changed. It almost feels like I was always this way, and just biologically through hormones have been able to assimilate correctly.
It's all about love, and it's all about energy, and it's about living your life in happiness. And I think for every person that lives their life in happiness, we help others do the same. We want to thank you guys for being on the show, and I would love to have you, Kim, Kris, and your son on the TV show, which is an hour long, and because I believe that there's a lot of individuals that really would be interested in listening to your stories and learning how to deal with the situation that you as a family have had to deal with. So if that would be possible, let us know, and we would schedule a TV show for the three of you. That would be a possibility.
Great. Okay. Yes, we will certainly discuss it with the third member of our little triad here.
Okay. Is there any way that the listeners could get a hold of you? Any go ahead and give your blog information or emails or anything like that for any of the listeners who have questions or just want to comment?
You can send them to transconfusedfamily.com. That's the blog, but there's different ways to contact us, whatever they're comfortable with. There's the Twitter, the Facebook link, Google Plus, all those are there. Email.
It's kind of a central place where anybody can contact us from various means. So that's transconfusedfamily.com. That's all one word.
Okay. Well, I will make a YouTube video with slideshow, and I will put all the information on the description. You can also find, I think I also put your blog information here on the Blog Talk Radio portion of the show.
And you're also going to be on the website under the guest tab. That's going to have a link to your blog as well.
So we appreciate your time, and thank you so much for sharing your story and your sentiments and all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to having you on the TV show as long as you're willing.
Yeah.
We really appreciated this opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
The pleasure was ours.
Pleasure was ours for sure.
Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in yet another night. Stay tuned for Sunday. We have Luis Ramos on Not Straight TV, our TV show. He is a gay man, along with, he's a co-producer along with another producer, Omar Montes, who actually are creating a worldwide documentary where Jessica and I are part of it, and it's a very interesting and heartfelt documentary, so we're going to bring them on the show on Sunday. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We can't thank you enough. Please visit our website, www.transitionradio.net. Sign the guest book. Check around, look around. If you've enjoyed the show, please donate. No small amount is too small. And if you'd like to sponsor or if you'd like to advertise with us, please send us an email again to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Thank you, good night, and we will end the show with one of my originals, which is called We're Growing Old.
And we love you.
And remember to
love yourselves, too. Come tight.
Come to Good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
In your eyes, I see so many things. I see you, I see me, I see so many things falling down on me. Don't you know we're growing old? And in spite of our differences, you're all I know. Baby girl, I want you to know that I'll never forget all the things we've been through and how I love you. But don't you know we're growing old? And in spite of our differences, you're all I know. All I know. Don't forget, there are no regrets. If I had to repeat it again, I will do it again and again. Again and again. Don't you know we're growing old? And in spite of our differences, you're all I know. All I know. Be with me till the end of time. We will ride this umbrella together till the day we die. Till the day we die. But don't you know we're growing old? And in spite of our differences, you're all I know. You're all I know. But don't you know we're growing old? And in spite of our differences, you're all I know. You're all I know. My baby girl, you're all I know. In your eyes, I see so many things. I see you, I see me, I see so many things falling down on